Did they just try to assassinate President Trump for a third time? The timing is a little more than suspicious. So just days before the No Kings protests kicked off, the Secret Service reportedly found an elevated hunting stand in a Florida tree-lined position with a direct line of sight to where President Trump would exit Air Force One in Palm Beach County. So a perfect place to fire a rifle round. And this wasn't just some random discovery, by the way. Agents uncovered it during an advanced security preparation sweep from the Secret Service ahead of his arrival in Palm Beach on Thursday. So here is this platform. Take a look at, here's the tree, here's the sniper platform up in this tree. And you might say, okay, whatever, big deal. This could just be a coincidence. After all, it's archery, crossbow season, muzzle loading gun season right now in Palm County. And Palm County sits in Zone C. If you're a hunter, you know what this is. And you can see here the open dates for these particular seasons, crossbow season, archery season. By the way, it's far enough away that there's no way you're hitting President Trump with a bow and arrow. Okay, it's hunting season in this particular part of the country right now, going after white-tailed deer. But here's the twist. Hunting is not allowed in this area. It's illegal, in fact. Federal, state, local regulations prohibit the discharge of firearms in this spot at all in residential areas, and specifically hunting next to airports for safety reasons.
Seems
also, just
reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, don't shoot bullets near airplanes. That makes a lot of sense. Also, just look at the Palm Beach airport. Does this look like a good hunting area to you? Like, hey, I'm going to go out hunting, honey. Yeah, you going up in the mountains? No, I'm going next to the highway next to the Palm Beach International Airport. Okay, here's a closer look at the location where this sniper tree stand was located. Look at this. So here's the tree stand on the left. Line of sight in this little copse of trees facing the international airport where Trump would land. By the way, we'll get into all this in a second because it's just unbelievable as I'm going through all the data on this. Like, just take a look at this map. This is, here's an Apple map so you can just see what this looks like. I mean, you're not going hunting next to the highway in a little copse of trees. Because a lot of people online are like, that tree stand was there. It's used for hunting. It's no big deal. No, it's not. It is a big deal. It's illegal. Doesn't look like a good hunting spot to me at all. Right next to the highway with almost no trees around whatsoever. But even if you thought this was a good spot, it's illegal to fire a gun from this location, and it's not allowed. The spot is located specifically within an established no discharge and no hunting FAA safety zone. So it's illegal to fire any kind of a firearm near the airport. And take a look at this, just so you see what's also very odd about this location. You can see in red is the tree location. Notice what's right there next to it. Yeah, that's a police department. A forensic services part of the police department. And then just separate from that, just a scroll, if you go to the left here a little bit, the Army Reserve Center is right there. Okay. Then a little bit further down the road is a gun club. Then right below that is a criminal justice complex with the sheriff's department and a full gun range. Very similar to things we saw in Butler, Pennsylvania during Trump's assassination attempt there with the Butler Gun Club and HSI. HSI, of course, Homeland Security Intelligence Services, who were very hung out at the Butler Gun Club on a regular basis. And we know that they like to hang out at these same gun clubs right here next to this Palm Beach International Airport. I'm just saying coincidence, but it's all very odd.
It's basically walled-in pond, very recluse, where you can go and do some relaxing hunting.
Like, hey, honey, this year for vacation, next year we're going to go to a little copse of trees right next to the highway, right next to the airport.
Yes.
It's so quiet and beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I might do a little hunting while I'm there.
Okay.
Up in the tree line.
It's like my second favorite way to camp. My favorite way is any other way. Any other place is right. Better than that. But my
bonus if there's a 7-Eleven right next to it.
Or a Walmart parking lot, maybe. Exactly. More relaxing. Also, I find it interesting that someone searched for Palm Beach airport forests over 100 times prior to the Secret Service finding a sniper blind in a Palm Beach airport forest. That's interesting, isn't it? Why would anyone, and by the way, I went back years to look at search results for this as I was looking for this. Why would anyone in the world search for Palm Beach airport forests?
The dumbest thing I ever heard.
Like, and this happens right before the Secret Service conveniently find this thing. Okay. Just days before it would be discovered by Secret Service, FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino was on his favorite network, Fox News Today, to update everyone about this. Listen.
But we saw this disturbing thing, a hunting stand right in the area of Palm Beach Airport, which would have had a clear shot at Air Force One. We can see it. What could you tell us about this, Dan?
Yeah, I was on the phone about this all day yesterday. It's interesting. When I got back from the mall, most of my you don't get the days off here. It's something you sign up for. So, it's unfortunate sometimes we got to take care of these things. We wish they wouldn't happen. But here's what happens with this. Let me walk the American public through how this works. The FBI is not responsible, obviously, for the security plan of the president. That's the purview of the Secret Service. However, if the Secret Service finds something that they believe could be criminal, I want to emphasize it could be, we take over. We have what's called an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding with the Secret Service, where we will investigate after that. I was on the phone yesterday, back and forth with the D2, the Deputy Director over at the Secret Service, Matt Quinn, great guy. They were very concerned. Their security sweep discovered this hunting stand. The director Kash Patel was directly involved right away. I'm on the email chain with him. He ordered an immediate response. I believe we had our plane flown down there. This hunting stand was appropriately dismantled, being flown to our lab. I believe it's there right now. And all of the forensic tools we have, from digital tools to biometric tools, they are all going to be applied to try to find out who put this up there and why.
Mr. Deputy Director.
All right. So
the same people who found no silverware in the Butler alleged shooter apartment.
Yeah.
That's the kind of answers we will expect.
Well, I mean, again, it's ridiculous. And people are like in the chat are like, well, there's nothing new here. This was just a simple hunting tree stand. Yeah. In an area where you're not allowed to hunt. Okay, fine. And as the deputy director just confirmed, it was, in fact, a hunting stand. It wasn't a tree house. Like, kids weren't there. By the way, it was literally next to an industrial zone. There's no houses anywhere near this particular spot. So it's not like some kids just built a tree house behind the sheriff's station with a direct line of sight to where Air Force One lands. But we'll get more details on this. I'm sure it's totally nothing to see here. If you've been seriously injured, your case could be worth millions, and you should know exactly what your rights are. That's why I want to tell you about Morgan & Morgan. They're America's largest injury law firm with over 1,000 attorneys working in all 50 states. And unlike a lot of firms that settle quickly, Morgan & Morgan doesn't take lowball offers from insurance companies. Just in the past few months, they won $12 million in Florida when the insurance company offered only $350,000. And in New York, they secured $6.8 million on a case where the offer was just $275,000. And the best part? It's absolutely free unless you win. Insurance companies try to pay out as little as possible. Morgan & Morgan fights to get you more if you become their client. It only takes a few minutes to see if you have a case, and you can do it right from your phone. It's that easy. You can visit forthepeople.com/redacted, or you can click the link in the description to get started.
I'm going to tell you how the World Health Organization is spying on you. They told us so. This is what they're looking for, the next pandemic, they say. But okay, this is a new tracking software called Epidemic Intelligent from Open Source 2.0. We're going to call it EIOS or iOS. They say that they need it for pandemic preparedness, but it will automatically scan and analyze social media across 110 WHO member states, which most likely is one of yours, especially if you're in a Western nation. Now, this is a surveillance power. Let's be clear that the WHO tried to take when they launched their pandemic treaty, but recall that pandemic treaty was severely handicapped because most of us had such a fit that it would be binding, that it would take away sovereignty of all 110 member states. So they had to take it down a notch. But now, instead of a big overarching pandemic treaty, they're just giving themselves these powers spoonful by spoonful. So let's take a look at what this is. They say that they're looking for illnesses, but they are also tracking, take a look, ongoing events, whether they are linked to conflict, climate change, or new and reemerging pathogens. Now, the only thing that I think the WHO should be worried about there is pathogens. The other stuff, climate change, conflict, that has nothing to do with world health. Why are they doing this? This is narrative surveillance wrapped in the language of global health security. Also, we might recall that since 2020, the WHO has been warning about infodemics, which they describe as, look, an overabundance of information, even accurate information, that will make it difficult to make you adopt behaviors. So notice they're saying that an infodemic can even have true information, but it's so much that can't make you do stuff. Well, like what? You might ask. Well, maybe talking about how maintaining high vitamin D levels is essential to not getting sick, but they don't want you to talk about that. They want you to take medicine, pharmaceuticals. Maybe you might talk about how masks don't stop the spread of certain viruses, but they want to instate mask mandates. To them, that's an infodemic. You're getting true information. They can't make you do something. What about these herd immunity? You want to talk about that? They don't want you to. That's an infodemic because they can't make you do things. It's information that would make it so you don't do what they tell you. The idea of infodemics makes me want to scream and shout and punch walls. So all of this happened during the COVID-19 pandemic. So is it possible that they are using AI surveillance? I think I forgot to say that this is all AI based. They are using global AI surveillance to censor and define the next infodemic. Now notice, you might want to say, can they do this to us? Especially because President Trump withdrew from the WHO. They can do this. They're saying, oh, it's free of charge to member states. What that means is we're not going to charge you for it. We're just going to go ahead and do it. And then guess what? You can share this data. So let's say you are Japan. You can get data from France free of charge using their AI scanning tool about all the French people. You can just do that. I mean, no one is going to stop them here. They say they're already doing it. They're not really supposed to, but they did expand their rights to do this, and they make a broad interpretation of those rights under the international health regulations that they launched last year, where they edited their powers. So since their pandemic treaty ideas collapsed, you can bet that they will use their power that they did not get to use a backdoor to survey you under the auspices of health security. So it's happening. There's no let's debate it or let's push back or whatever. They're doing it. They're using AI to survey you.
So that means as a free service, I'm going to offer you guys, I'm going to make sure all of your leftovers get eaten. So I'm just going to come by every day and just eat the leftovers out of your fridge. You don't really have a say in it because it's free. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like it.
Thank you.
It's totally fine because I don't usually eat a lot of the leftovers. And then,
I do.
And then she yells at me about it. So you're welcome anytime. President Trump just dropped the hammer on Zelensky, telling the Ukrainian dictator, hey, you better accept Putin's terms here or you're going to be destroyed by Russia. We are sick and tired of this. According to the Financial Times, the U.S. and Ukrainian presidents descended into basically a shouting match. And I've heard from separate sources that this got really heated inside the White House. Trump was basically saying, Trump was cursing the whole time, yelling at him. For people who were in the room, Trump was telling Zelensky, give up control of territory in Ukraine's eastern Donbas region. That area has been attacked for the past 10 years by the Ukrainian neo-Nazis, killing innocent civilians who live in that area. It's been a genocide to anyone who's been paying attention. Tens of thousands of civilians have been killed. They then voted overwhelmingly to become part of the Russian Federation. As you well know, over 90% voted to be in favor of joining Russia. So this is no longer Ukraine, despite what Zelensky thinks about it. This is Russia, and Trump seemed to be driving home this point. At one point, Zelensky put down a map to show the battle lines, and Trump just flipped out. It's I don't want to see your maps anymore. This is over. I don't care where your front is. You want to show us where your front is? No. You have one guy guarding 6 kilometers. It's done. It's over. If you don't accept these terms right now, Putin's going to concede some areas in Kherson and Zaporizhia. Take it, or you're going to be destroyed. So this was a pretty big moment. Now, Viktor Orban, of course, ready to mediate this meeting, which would be huge. I mean, a member of NATO and the EU. Viktor Orban in Hungary and Budapest going to mediate this agreement. Zelensky says he's going to do it now because of the pressure after this meeting. He also asked for some Tomahawk missiles, and President Trump said, "Go pound sand. We're not sending you any Tomahawks. We don't even have them." So this is a big moment. We're going to see how this all plays out in the coming days with Viktor Orban mediating this. But I hope he gets the message this time.
Well, the CDC says that last year's flu season was very high in severity, the worst on record since 2017. And so you better get a flu vaccine, they say. This is a very scary report just put out. They also say that the mortality rate was the highest since 2015, but only in its peak. So that's a 2.8% death rate, they say, in any given week. So that's the highest week of mortality, not the highest overall mortality, but they don't want you to make that distinction. They also say that children had a very high death rate, especially children who didn't take the flu shot. So see here, they said most of the children that died had underlying conditions, but most of them over 6 months old, 90% of them were not vaccinated. That is purposely misleading. It suggests those children may have survived had they been vaccinated for the flu, but that's impossible to prove, especially because the vaccine did not match the most popular strains from last year's flu season. How do we know that? Because the report shows us that the strains that made so many people sick were not in the 2024-2025 flu vaccine. Here is the formulation they're giving us. You can see on the left is the one that they're putting out this year, and then the one on the right is what was out last year. Notice the word "like" there. It was not H1N1, it was H1N1 like. Well, that's a weird word in what is in your vaccine. It's like this strain of the flu. That could mean anything, but usually that means some kind of thing that's close to the actual virus, a lab-made version of what they think will circulate.
Ebola, it's like the flu.
It's like it. Now, I don't think we can conclude that this is gain of function because we simply don't know how like it is, what they did to it. They don't tell us how they manipulated something to be like H1N1. It's possible. We just don't know. What we do know is that the strains that actually caused people to get sick last year were not addressed by the flu vaccine because the flu vaccine was given. The flu was bad last year. Those are the two data points. So how are they trying to sell us the flu vaccine by saying this vaccine didn't work, but take the next one? The data shows a weak match, but the agency is still promoting the vaccine through fear-mongering statistics about dying children. You see what they're doing here. And how do we know that the 2025-2026 flu vaccine will work any better at preventing this year's coming strains? We don't. In fact, we can be fairly certain they won't, because again, if you look at this formulation, it's like things, H3N2, which was big last year, H3N2 like virus. Okay. And all of this was chosen in March of this year. So whatever was popular in March will presumably not be popular once our flu season hits here in the Northern Hemisphere. Also worth noting, was it clinically trialed? Lol, it was not. The flu vaccine is never clinically trialed. So if you take it, number one, you know you're taking something that was addressed to old strains, and number two, you're the clinical trial.